They say most marriages don't end with a scream. They end with a sigh. Ours ended with a joke. Not hers, mine. Except it wasn't funny. It happened on a Thursday. Not that the day matters, but for some reason, I keep replaying that detail. Thursday, 6:42 p.m. At a long dinner table with people I barely knew, my plate cold, her wine full, and that stupid amber glow from the hanging lights like we were in some lifestyle magazine spread. There were 10 of us. Her co-workers. I had just come from work, loosened my tie, smiled through the small talk. I didn't belong there. But I was trying, because I still believed effort meant something. Then she leaned forward. My wife, Mara, tilted her head and with perfect comedic timing said, "If I ever left Everett, it'd be for someone who actually knows how to hold a conversation." She motioned to the guy beside her. "Joel." Everyone laughed. The kind of laugh that rolls around like a wave, not loud, but painful because of how natural it sounded. I didn't laugh. I didn't even look at her. I took a sip of water, nodded like I missed the punchline, and kept chewing. That was the moment everything in me split, like fabric under stress. But I didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't even blink hard. I did something worse. I made a decision. You see, I've learned something about people like Mara. They don't expect consequences, just reactions. Drama. Explosions. A scene they can spin into victimhood. I wasn't going to give her that. What I gave her instead was nothing. And that's what terrified her the most. That night, I didn't bring it up. We drove home in silence. She was on her phone half the time, scrolling Instagram and smiling like she hadn't just humiliated me in front of strangers. I went to bed early. She didn't follow. The next morning, I left before she woke up. And the morning after that. By the third day, she was texting. By the fifth, calling. Her tone changed from breezy to bothered. But I stayed silent. Because sometimes the loudest revenge isn't fury. It's disappearance, while they're still watching. By the sixth day, I think she realized something was off. I wasn't being cold or hostile. I was being unavailable. And not in some manipulative way, like stonewalling to punish her. No, I was just done. You can only play the fool for so long before the makeup starts to burn. I wasn't angry. I was embarrassed. Embarrassed that I'd spent years explaining away her digs and sarcasm to friends and family like she was just fiery or honest. Embarrassed that I'd let so many little public jabs slide because I didn't want to overreact. But something about that dinner, the way her voice lifted just enough for everyone to hear, the way she leaned into Joel's shoulder like the whole thing was some rom-com scene. It burned into me in a way I couldn't ignore. I stopped texting her during the day. I started working late, which wasn't hard. My manager had always begged me to take on more hours. I left dishes in the sink. I skipped our shows. I even turned off our shared location without saying a word. It wasn't revenge. It was self-respect, and it felt alien. She asked if I was mad about the little joke. I told her no. Because I wasn't mad, I was humiliated. But I didn't say that. Instead, I gave her a smile so neutral it made her visibly uncomfortable. That's when she started trying again. She made dinner 2 nights in a row, something she hadn't done in over 6 months. She texted me memes. She brought up a vacation we had shelved for over a year. And all I did was smile and nod. Like she was a stranger offering free samples in a mall I didn't shop at anymore. And yet, behind that calm, something was building in me. Not a plan, not a plot, not yet. But a feeling, a shift. Because the second you stop needing someone to love you properly, is the second they start needing your approval like oxygen. And I had just turned off the air. By the second week, her desperation started to leak through the cracks in her perfectly curated life. At first, it was subtle, passive-aggressive comments like, "You've been quiet lately," or, "Do you want space or something?" But I didn't bite. I gave her soft, empty responses that said absolutely nothing, like, "Just tired," or "Work's been a lot." And the truth is, I wasn't trying to hurt her. I didn't wake up one day and decide to play some kind of sick emotional chess game. But once you see the truth of someone, once you see the way they laugh when you're bleeding, it's impossible to unsee it. One night, she came into the bedroom in a silk robe she hadn't worn since our honeymoon. No warning, no small talk. Just laid down next to me like that would erase the humiliation of that night. I didn't flinch. I didn't lean in. I didn't even pretend. I just told her I had to be up early. And that's when she snapped. "Are you seeing someone else?" She asked, and there was this panicked laugh behind the words like she was trying to joke, but failing miserably. I looked at her, calm as a pond, and said, "Why would I need someone else? I already have someone who makes me feel invisible for free." That landed. I could see it hit her like a slap made of ice. She didn't reply. She just stared at me, blinking, like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. And maybe she didn't. Because for the first time in our marriage, I wasn't chasing. I wasn't fighting for a seat at the table. I was letting her eat alone. The next morning, I woke up to a fully packed lunch on the counter. Handwritten note. "I'm sorry if I hurt you. Please let me fix it." I took the sandwich, left the note, said nothing. And while she thought she was doing damage control, I had already started putting together the missing pieces of something else. The way she'd been glued to her phone for weeks before the party, the names she kept casually dropping that I didn't recognize, the random new password she put on our shared tablet. This wasn't just guilt over a stupid joke anymore. No, this was fear. Fear that I knew something I wasn't saying. And the irony? I didn't. Not yet. But now I had a reason to start looking. And what I found would change everything. I wasn't looking for proof. Not at first. I told myself I was just curious. But that's a lie, isn't it? I was hunting. Not for revenge. Not even for closure. I was searching for confirmation that the woman I married had become someone I couldn't trust. And I wanted the universe to stamp that fact in black and white. So it started small. I borrowed our shared iPad under the excuse of ordering new kitchen lights, the ones she'd been pretending to care about for weeks, and I noticed the browser history was wiped. Not suspicious, right? Except she's not tech-savvy. I've literally seen her Google how to turn off Bluetooth. The settings had recently been changed. The Apple ID had two-factor turned on, but the secondary device wasn't mine anymore. That was new. Subtle, but new. I didn't panic. I just smiled, handed it back, and later that night, I quietly logged into our old carrier account, the one we used back when we shared everything. I wasn't even sure if it still worked. But it did. And right there in the usage logs, like crumbs from a trail she thought was invisible, I found a number, one she'd texted more than me for the last 3 months. Same pattern, late nights, short messages, 1 or 2 emoji. Never during work hours. Never when she was home. I screenshotted the records and sat on it for 2 days. I didn't confront her. I didn't even drop hints. I just paid attention. Where she left her phone. When she laughed at texts. What nights she suddenly had to run errands because I forgot almond milk. On Sunday, I tested her. I asked her to hand me her phone so I could call my boss, said my own battery was dead. Her face didn't twitch. She didn't flinch. She unlocked the screen and gave it to me with this smooth, too-practiced smile. Go ahead. And it was spotless. I mean eerily spotless. No texts older than a week. No social media logins. No call logs before Friday. She'd wiped everything. That's when I knew. Not suspected. Knew. Because innocent people don't scrub history. Especially not people who used to overshare everything. That night, I sat alone on the balcony, watching her through the window as she watched a show she didn't even like. And all I could think was, I don't know this woman anymore. But I'm going to find out exactly who she's become before she realizes what I'm doing. Because she laughed first. But I'd be the one walking away last. I didn't sleep that night. I just laid there with my back to her, watching the digital clock glow and blink as the hours passed. 1:12, 2:47, 3:33. She breathed softly beside me, one arm across my back like she still owned my peace. But the silence wasn't comforting anymore. It was calculated. The quiet of someone who knew exactly what she was hiding and thought she was doing a good enough job pretending nothing had changed. But it had. I had. The old version of me would have confronted her. Would have demanded answers, blown up the kitchen, cried on the floor. But not this time. This time, I wanted clarity more than closure. I wanted the whole ugly truth, not just the part she was willing to admit. So the next morning, while she was in the shower, I used the number from the call logs and ran it through every reverse lookup tool I could find. Most were useless. One site gave me a partial name, just an initial and a city. The city wasn't ours. It was Greenville. She'd never mentioned Greenville. We don't have friends there. No family. Nothing. My hands were shaking. I'm not proud of that. But you have to understand, I wasn't built for this. I'm not some detective or mastermind. I'm the guy who folds laundry the second it comes out of the dryer and alphabetizes the spice rack when he's anxious. This kind of thing, digging into shadows, it wasn't natural for me. But I kept going. I searched the number in my email archives just in case. And there it was. Not in my inbox. In a forwarded chain she'd sent me months ago, something dumb about a group dinner. I opened it, scrolled, saw the name at the bottom. N. Corbin. It clicked. Noah. Noah Corbin. She'd mentioned him once. A new client from a project last quarter. A big talker, she said. Annoying but harmless. She laughed when she said it. I remember because her laugh was different that day, stretched too long. My stomach turned. I checked her calendar invites. She still used a shared iCloud for appointments. Sure enough, there it was. A strategy sync scheduled for Thursday in Greenville. She never told me about it. Never mentioned travel. I didn't say anything. I packed her lunch like I always did. Kissed her cheek like I always did. Waved from the porch like nothing in the world had shifted. But inside, something had snapped. Because now I had a name. Now I had a place. And soon, I'd have answers. I wasn't going to stop her. I wasn't going to scream. I was just going to be there when she least expected it. And when she looked up and saw me, standing right in the middle of her lies, I wasn't going to say a word. I'd just smile. Like she did that night at dinner, when she humiliated me for a laugh. Only this time, I'd be the one who got the last one. I told her I had a dentist appointment. It was a stupid lie. I'm sure she didn't even hear me say it. She was too busy packing her laptop, grabbing the charger she always forgets, texting someone with her phone tilted just out of my view. She looked rushed, but not flustered. Too calm. Almost rehearsed. I watched her load her car from the upstairs window. It was the same bag she used when she visited her sister last spring. The one with the fake tear in the zipper she never got fixed. She still thought I believed this was a work meeting. That she'd drive to Greenville, talk strategy with a client, and return like nothing ever happened. And maybe, in another life, I would have let her. Maybe I would have swallowed the suspicion, buried the screenshots, and pretended her lies were just stress. But I'd already choked down too many excuses. This time I followed. Not right away. I gave it 40 minutes, then got in my car and drove with the windows down and the air heavy. Every red light felt like a test. Every exit sign looked like a chance to turn back. But I didn't. I knew I couldn't live with myself if I let this moment pass and never found out the truth with my own eyes. The GPS led me to a hotel. Not a motel. Not some backroad dive. A polished, business-class hotel with valets and flavored water in the lobby. Classy. Professional. Deceptive. Her car was there, parked on the second level of the deck. I waited. Not because I was scared, because I didn't know what I was supposed to do with the confirmation. I didn't want a scene. I didn't want yelling or tears. I just wanted to see. I waited 30 more minutes. Then I walked in. No disguise. No hoodie. I didn't need to hide. She wasn't expecting to be seen. I asked the front desk if they could ring Ms. Callie Anderson's room. They said they couldn't give out room numbers for privacy reasons. Fair. So I waited in the cafe near the elevator. Ordered a black coffee I didn't touch. Scrolled my phone like I was bored. And then I saw her. Coming out of the elevator. Laughing. She wasn't alone. Noah was with her. Business casual. 2 coffees. He handed one to her like it was the most normal thing in the world. They looked comfortable. Familiar. Her hand brushed his arm for no reason at all. She wasn't working. She was with him. She didn't see me. I didn't move. I just sat there and watched my wife walk across the lobby like she didn't have a husband. Like I was already gone. And in that moment, something clicked in me. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Just relief. Because the guessing was over. The pretending, the doubting, the gaslighting I'd done to myself. Done. I finally knew. And now that I knew, I could act. But not here. Not like this. I wouldn't interrupt her little getaway. I wouldn't expose her in front of her lover. That would be messy, dramatic. Exactly the kind of scene she could spin into sympathy later. No, I'd let her have her weekend. I'd let her enjoy the final moments of the life she built on lies. And while she was sipping hotel coffee with another man, I'd be home, rewriting everything. She returned Sunday night like nothing happened. Pulled into the driveway at 8:14 p.m., exactly when she said she'd be getting back from the office. She even brought takeout, Thai food, my favorite, like a peace offering for an argument we never had. I watched her through the peephole for a full minute before I opened the door. She smiled too wide. Her hair was different, straighter, newer, like she'd borrowed confidence from someone else. She kissed my cheek like it meant something. I let her, not because I wanted to, but because I needed her to think the mask still worked. Inside, everything looked the same, but it wasn't. While she was gone, I'd done more than just think. I'd printed the call logs, bookmarked the hotel's check-in policies. I even made copies of our joint bank activity, 3 separate food orders on her card from a town she wasn't supposed to be in. I didn't confront her. I didn't need to. I just let her walk around the house like it was still hers, talking about work, traffic, some meeting that ran long. She was careful now, saying all the right things, watching my face when she spoke, like she could feel the silence shift, even if she didn't know why. But the best part? She didn't realize I'd already met with a lawyer, that I already knew which accounts had her name on them and which didn't. She didn't know I'd changed my direct deposit, or that I'd backed up every shared photo and set the originals to private. She didn't know because she wasn't looking. She thought she still had time. But what she didn't know, what she couldn't even imagine, was that I had already decided I wasn't going to leave with anger. I was going to leave with everything she didn't think I noticed. The day I left didn't feel dramatic. It wasn't cinematic. No bags flung downstairs, no glass shattering, no doors slammed hard enough to echo. It was just Tuesday. She went to work. I stayed home. I had already scheduled the moving truck, timed everything to land between 9 and noon. I didn't take much, just what was mine. My guitar, my books, the coffee maker she never figured out, the box of old photos that actually meant something to me. The rest? She could keep it. I didn't want things anymore. I wanted peace. I left a letter on the kitchen table. Not a breakup note. Not a list of accusations. Just the truth. I told her I knew. That I saw her. That I heard every joke she thought was harmless. Felt every little sting she brushed off with a smirk. I told her I wasn't angry. Not anymore. Just done. I wished her well. And I meant it. Because I finally understood that walking away didn't make me weak. It made me free. That evening, I turned off my phone. Sat in my new, tiny apartment surrounded by boxes and quiet. And for the first time in years, I exhaled without a weight on my chest. No pretending. No waiting for the next jab disguised as a joke. Just silence, the good kind. And I laughed. A real laugh. Not bitter, not performative. Just me, in a folding chair, drinking bad instant coffee out of a chipped mug, laughing at the fact that I was finally, okay. Because in the end, she got what she wanted. A life where I didn't make her feel bored. And I got what I never thought I'd have again. Myself.